We set up camp. We laughed. We slept. And in the morning, someone else was using my name. Someone with my face. Someone already living my life. You're watching Nightmare and Fear, the home of immersive horror stories that dig deep into the woods, into your past, and sometimes into your identity. Subscribe now and help us reach 1,000 fearless souls. Because some stories erase you the moment they're told. Tonight's nightmare is called The Version Before Me Never Left. I've always hated group camping. Too many people. Too much gear. No real peace. But when my girlfriend Molly said her brother planned a weekend at a hidden spot in northern Minnesota, I caved. So we packed up. Me, Molly, her brother Zach, his wife Clara, and our friend Dean. Zach had found the site while kayaking 2 years ago. Said it wasn't on any trail maps, and it felt weirdly untouched. He wasn't wrong. It wasn't like any forest I'd seen. The trees bent inward in perfect arcs. No birds. No squirrels. Even the insects were quiet, like the whole area had been paused. The clearing we chose was circular, unnaturally so. In the middle was a massive flat stone, like a table, about 6 feet wide. No moss on it. No dust. Just clean, as if someone had wiped it down. We joked it was for sacrifices. Should have taken that more seriously. First night was uneventful. We drank. We laughed. We told ghost stories. Typical stuff. Until I woke up around 3 a.m. I hadn't heard anything. I just opened my eyes. And everything outside my tent was glowing. A dim, greenish light, soft as mist, was pouring from the center of the stone in the clearing. I peeked through the flap and saw someone standing there. Back turned. Perfectly still. Wearing my jacket. I rushed out, thinking maybe Dean was messing around. But as soon as I stepped into the clearing, the figure was gone. No footsteps. No rustling. Just silence. The light faded a second later. I woke the others. They thought I dreamt it. Even Molly rolled her eyes. I let it go. For now. Next morning, things got confusing. Clara asked me how my ankle was. From the fall you had last night, remember? She said. You tripped into the fire pit. I didn't. There was no injury. No bruise. No memory of that at all. But everyone else swore it happened. Dean even showed me a photo he took. There I was, blood on my shin, mid-limp. Except, I had no wound. And I hadn't even been near the fire. Later, Zach asked me what it felt like to be back. You and Molly came here 2 years ago too, he said. We hadn't. I told him this was my first time camping with them. But he insisted. He remembered the trip vividly. He described stories I supposedly told. Food I apparently cooked. He even said I got lost in the woods for 6 hours. But I'd never been here before. Ever. I pulled Molly aside. Begged her to be honest. She looked pale. Terrified. And then she whispered. I thought you were messing with me. But you really don't remember, do you? She pulled out an old photo from her phone. It was us. Same forest. Same stone in the clearing. I was wearing the exact jacket I had on right now. Only, it looked older. Wetter. Dirty. And in the background, just barely visible, was a second me. Watching from behind a tree. I wanted to leave. Dean and Zach refused. Said we were just hungover, paranoid. Then Clara vanished. We found her backpack, her boots. Her phone was still on the log by the fire. But she was gone. Only thing left behind was a puddle on the stone. And in it, a reflection. Of her. Screaming. But not from this world. From somewhere beneath it. That night, the forest made a sound. like something massive turning over in its sleep. A pressure in our ears. A low, humming frequency that sucked the air from our lungs. And in that moment, I remembered something I shouldn't have. I had been here before. But not like this. Not in this body. Not in this version of events. I remembered being chased. Being copied. Being swallowed. I ran to the stone. Stood on top of it. The light began again, pouring from beneath me. I saw my hands begin to blur. Flicker. My jacket changed. The sleeves were torn. Stained with old blood. The others came running. But when they looked at me, they stepped back. Molly whispered, "You're not him. That's not my Caleb." Then I realized the truth. The forest didn't just copy you. It collected versions of you. And only one version gets to leave. If you ever find a campsite with no animals, a perfect stone, and a place that feels too familiar, don't set up your tent. Don't tell your stories. Don't fall asleep. Because something might already be there, waiting to replace you. Movie Camera subscribe to Nightmare and Fear and help us reach 1,000 brave listeners who are ready to face what's really out there. And whatever you do, never camp somewhere you've never been. If someone else swears you already have. What would you do if the forest told you it was alive? And you were camping on its mouth? We thought we were just sleeping in nature. But the ground beneath our tents had its own heartbeat. Its own memory. And we were just another layer waiting to be buried. Welcome to Nightmare and Fear, where every story pulls you one step deeper into the dark. If this story grabs you, subscribe now and help us reach 1,000 brave souls before the woods take one more. Put on your headphones. Dim the lights. And try not to move. This nightmare is called. We camped on the thing that breathes. We didn't check the weather. We didn't check the map. We just followed a trail that didn't have a name. Me, my cousin Mark, his girlfriend Iris, and our friend Luca. All city kids pretending to be wild for a weekend. Mark had found the trail on some obscure Reddit thread. A lost campground where no birds sing, but the wind always hums. It sounded fake. But when we reached the end of that forgotten path, we stepped into a place that looked designed. The trees were spaced perfectly apart. The grass looked combed. And in the center of the clearing was a wide patch of soil, black, circular, and strangely soft. Like it had been dug up. And then, breathed over. That night, something felt wrong beneath our tents. Every hour or so, we'd feel a faint tremor. A pulse. Like a deep, slow inhale. Luca joked it was tectonic activity. But Mark said something I'll never forget. That's not the earth moving. That's the ground noticing us. We all laughed it off. Until 2:33 a.m. When Iris screamed. We rushed out of our tents and found her in the center of the clearing. Staring down at the ground. She pointed. There was a small mound of soil rising up. Like something beneath it had just exhaled. Then it twitched. I kid you not, the dirt pulsed. And something beneath it shifted. Not a snake. Not a root. Something bigger. Like the earth itself had muscles. We left the fire burning and huddled inside one tent. Mark kept a hatchet next to him. I held my phone flashlight even though it was nearly dead. Nobody said it, but we all felt it. The forest was watching. From beneath. The next morning, our campsite was different. The trees were closer. No, seriously, they had moved. I counted them the day before out of boredom. And now there were more. New ones. Thinner. Paler. As if they had grown overnight. Even worse? Iris was missing. But her boots were still inside the tent. Her phone was in her sleeping bag. There were no footprints. No drag marks. Nothing. Then we noticed the dirt mound was larger. Almost a foot high. As if something beneath had eaten and then swelled. Luca refused to stay. He ran, sprinting into the woods, screaming Iris's name. We followed for 30 minutes before realizing the trail was gone. No footprints. No broken branches. Like the forest had erased him. We returned to the clearing to pack up. Only Mark and I were left. And that's when I saw the carvings. Tiny etchings in the bark of the surrounding trees. Dozens of names. Some scratched in with fingernails. Some with blood. All the same handwriting. One name repeated 5 times. Caleb Morrow. Caleb Morrow. Caleb Morrow. My name is Caleb. And I've never been here before. Mark was reading them too. His face pale. His mouth slightly open. Then he turned to me and whispered, "What if we're not the first versions of us to camp here? What if it feeds and then brings us back?" We dug into the soft dirt of the mound with a camping spade. It was warm. Steam rose as we uncovered layers. Old gear. Rotting clothes. A torn-up photograph of our group. The same photo we'd taken just 2 days earlier. Only this one was old. Faded. Water-damaged. As if it had been buried years ago. Mark started screaming. I turned, and the soil beneath him opened. Not like a sinkhole. Not like mud. It peeled like lips. And swallowed him whole. Gone. No struggle. Just silence. Like he'd been returned to where he came from. I ran. Blindly. Until I saw light. Heard cars. Stumbled out onto a trail near the ranger station. They found me hours later, disoriented, alone, covered in black dust. When I asked about the clearing, they said no such place existed. That area had been closed for decades due to geological instability. They showed me photos. It was a crater, formed by something they called a natural collapse. But in the middle, you could still see the shape. The black circle. Still breathing. If you ever feel the ground pulse beneath your tent. If your footprints vanish. If your name appears on trees you've never touched. Leave. Because it's not just the woods watching you. It's what's underneath. Movie Camera, subscribe to Nightmare and Fear and help us reach 1,000 brave souls who are ready to camp on the edge of something unnatural. And whatever you do, don't sleep where the soil feels warm. When we tried to leave the forest told us we were never there. No phones. No service. No footprints. We thought we were lost, but the truth was worse. We were being removed. This is Nightmare and Fear, where true-style horror stories are brought to life with voice, tension, and terrifying detail. Skull, subscribe now and help us reach 1,000 brave souls before the woods erase us all. This story is called The Camp That Erased Us. My name's Logan. 3 weeks ago, I had 4 best friends. Now, I'm not even sure they existed. It started with a trail that wasn't on the map. We were hiking Glacier Ridge, me, my girlfriend Danny, her cousin Reed, our friend Marcus, and my little brother Eli. The map showed a dead-end overlook. But we found a trail that branched off, unmarked. Narrow. Old. Reed said it looked forgotten. Eli said it looked fresh. We followed it anyway. It was late in the afternoon when we found the perfect clearing. Wide. Quiet. Covered in dark moss. And right in the center, a circle of smooth, colorless stones. Too symmetrical to be natural. Marcus called it a forgotten ritual ring. We thought he was being dramatic. The first night was normal. S'mores, ghost stories, drinks. At one point, I stepped outside the ring to pee in the woods. When I looked back, they were all frozen. No movement. No blinking. Then just as suddenly, they started moving again. Laughing. Talking. Like nothing happened. I didn't mention it. Until the next night, when Reed vanished. We all woke up to his tent unzipped, empty. His boots were there. His phone, too. But no footprints. Not even ours. The soft forest floor where we'd been walking all day, untouched. Like the ground had been reset. Danny started freaking out. I pulled out my phone to call for help. No signal. But stranger than that, there were no photos. None from the trip. None from before. My entire gallery was empty. We tried leaving. The trail back was wrong. The trees were closer. The turns sharper. After 2 hours of walking, we came right back to the same stone circle. But now, it looked different. Each stone was darker. And there were 5 new ones. Stacked behind the circle like headstones. We didn't sleep that night. Eli kept mumbling something in his sleep. We weren't supposed to find it. By morning, Marcus was gone. His backpack still there. But the contents were off. His snacks were rotted. His water bottle was full of sand. Even worse, Danny looked at me and whispered, "Who's Marcus?" I stared at her. Tried to laugh. But she wasn't joking. She had no memory of him. Not from yesterday. Not ever. When I showed her a photo of us all together, one I'd finally found buried in my cloud backup, Marcus was missing. It was just 4 people. Like he was never there. We ran. Desperate. But every path led to the same clearing. The trees weren't even pretending anymore. The sky dimmed when we spoke. The birds stopped singing when we moved. It wasn't a forest anymore. It was a mind. And it was correcting its mistake. Eli vanished next. Except this time. Even I forgot for a moment. His name slipped. His voice, gone from memory. I only remembered when I looked at my arm. He'd drawn a tiny E on my wrist the first day as a joke. Without that, he'd be erased like the rest. Now it's just me and Danny. Except, she's acting strange. She hums a tune we've never heard before. She keeps asking me what year it is. And yesterday, she called me Marcus. Not Logan. Marcus. Tonight I found something buried beneath one of the stones. A journal. Torn and water damaged. Inside was the same story. Same trail. Same group. Different names. Over and over again. We found the trail. We camped in the circle. It took them. It made me forget. The last page was scribbled in shaky ink. If you found this, it's already writing you out. I don't know how I'll upload this. I don't even know if I'm still real. But if you're watching, remember my name. Logan. Say it out loud. Write it down. Because if the forest forgets me, and you do too, I'll be gone forever. Some places don't want to be found. Some stories don't want to be told. And some memories were never yours to begin with. Movie cameras, subscribe to Nightmare and Fear and help us reach 1,000 brave souls who remember what others won't. And next time you see an unmarked trail, don't follow it. Because finding it was never the problem. Being remembered after? That's the real nightmare.